We're going to talk about Elon's package. No, not that package. Elon's compensation package. A lot of people are describing this as a $1 trillion pay package. So, is it a $1 trillion pay package? Is it really an $88 billion or it is $87.75 billion pay package? Or maybe it's a $2.5 trillion package. I'm going to go through these numbers. We've got our new Optimus friend here, and we have another version of Optimus coming midway through this live stream. And I want to thank Mark and B and Jim and all the regulars for being here watching the live stream, and Mark for moderating the chat. There is a live chat if you're watching here on YouTube. So, and this will be played on X later. So that just for starters, the way Tesla describes it in the proxy, the preliminary aggregate fair value estimate of the 2025 CEO Performance Award is $87.75 billion. So the news, Elon's getting $1 trillion. Now, the truth is that Elon's getting $1 trillion or more if Tesla goes from a current $1 trillion market cap to an $8.5 trillion market cap. And I'll show you those numbers when I go through it. But we don't know that Tesla's going to achieve an $8.5 trillion market cap. Most people who analyze stocks and investments and those sort of things would say it's unlikely that the company will achieve most of the levels that they're trying to attain. He doesn't get paid at all until they hit 2 trillion. So you have to sort of say, well, what's the probability of achieving all these goals? Now, if you're like me, you're like, oh, of course we're going to achieve all these goals. But from an outsider's perspective, not a Warren perspective, these guys have to do this kind of assessment. And so the probability of achieving all the goals is not 100%, according to the way people do this accounting. But the important thing to keep in mind is people like me, Stephen, Mark, Ryan, Cern, Basher, and others have been saying Tesla's not going to an $8.5 trillion market cap. Tesla's going to a $20 trillion market cap or higher. And I'm going to show you that Elon's compensation could well be in excess of $2.5 trillion if Tesla went to a $20 trillion market cap. So don't get too excited about all the numbers. The simple reality is there's a proposal to compensate Elon. There's a lot of good reasons to compensate Elon, and we're going to see where that goes. So let's dive in a little bit more. And an important detail that I didn't pick up on originally is Elon is, in theory, getting 423 million shares if Tesla goes to $8.5 trillion market cap and satisfies all the other milestones, which I'll show you in a minute. It's not quite that simple. Elon has to pay $334 a share, the value of the stock on the date that they set the number, in order to get the stock. So if Tesla 2x's and Tesla stock is at $668 a share, Elon, and it's 35 million shares per tranche. Per each level of the award he achieves out of each of the 12 levels, Elon gets 35 million shares. But if he has to pay $340 a share, $334 a share in order to get it, then he really only gets half the shares. Now, as the stock goes up, as you're talking about a $2,800 share price or a, $2,800 share price at $8.5 trillion market cap, then the $334 is a small chunk of it. But in the early steps of the award, he's not getting the full amount that people think he's getting. Now, it does add up to, when you put it all together, it does add up to about 1 trillion after taking this out, if Tesla reaches $8.5 trillion. But I just wanted to cover that point because this is a point I missed, and I didn't see anybody else talking about it. Another thing to keep aware of is Elon doesn't actually get the stock. He doesn't vest for 7.5 years. There's a 7.5 to 10-year vesting period. Depending on when he earns it, affects when it vests. Vests means he actually gets it. Although I believe he does get to vote his shares as soon as he earns them. He doesn't get to hold them because they don't vest until 7.5 years from now. So is Tesla setting aside reserve shares in advance so the dilution happens over time, or all at once as each tranche is unlocked? I believe they set the shares aside, but it doesn't dilute until they're awarded. I'm not an expert on dilution anymore, so don't hold me to that. But I believe that's not how it works. Okay, so I just wanted to make that key point, and let's talk about the big numbers. So at a $2 trillion market cap, I did this with Grok. Grok was getting some things wrong. I think I got everything correct now. But at a $2 trillion market cap, Elon's current holdings, okay, what does he have now? Elon owns about 15% of Tesla. So if Tesla's at a $2 trillion market cap, Elon currently would then have $300 billion in stock. He has about $150 billion in stock in it now at a $1 trillion market cap. At a $2 trillion market cap, he would have about $300 billion in Tesla stock. Plus, he would add effectively $11 billion from the first tranche because the stock price isn't that high at that point. It's $650 or so dollars a share, $660 a share. He really only gets 17 shares, 17 million out of the 35 million shares. So his total value, his total holding of Tesla goes to 311 billion. Oh, poor Elon. I know we're all crying for him. If Tesla goes to $8.5 trillion market cap, then his current holdings, 15%, would be about $1.2 trillion, 15% of 8.5 trillion. There's some dilution going on. These numbers aren't perfect. This is just ballpark, but he would be already a trillionaire on the stock he owns. See, people are talking like, oh, well, Elon will be a trillionaire because of the award. No, if Tesla goes to $8.5 trillion, Elon's a trillionaire anyway. He adds another trillion or so. It's 1.2 trillion minus the $334 a share times 423 million shares. It works out to just over $1 trillion, and that's before he pays taxes. So he really only gets to keep about half of the 423 million shares because he's got to pay taxes, maybe a little more than half. But he ends up with a total value of Elon's holding of Tesla of around $2.2 trillion. And I think he may have to pay capital gains tax on this chunk, although the strategy may be pass that to his kids when he dies, and then he doesn't pay capital gains tax on it because it resets. That's one of the beauties of capital gains tax. So, at this point, he's got 2.2 trillion. This doesn't count what he owns in SpaceX. It doesn't count what he owns in XAI and X. It doesn't count what he owns in Neuralink, which I think Neuralink is going to be a larger value. I think Neuralink is going to be worth more than Tesla. I think Neuralink is going to be the largest company in the world, but that's a long conversation for another day. Now, suppose I'm right, Stephen Mark Ryan is right, CERN Basher is right, other people are right, and we think Tesla stock the market cap isn't going to 8.5 trillion, it's going to 20 trillion or higher. Let's just go with 20 trillion because you guys know I think it might go to 50 trillion. But at $20 trillion, Elon's current 15% goes to $3 trillion alone. And you add about another 2.7 trillion in terms of the 423 million shares minus the $334 or whatever. So Elon's total holding of Tesla at that point goes to $5.7 trillion. And then after taxes, maybe he's got $4 trillion in Tesla stock. Elon will be okay. Sorry, is Tesla setting so? William says, hi, Warren, please, any comment on national global debt? Re Tesla, thank you. I don't understand the question about global debt. If Elon pays trillions of dollars in taxes, that might help. If all this comes true, and then let's say 7.5 years from now, they satisfy the milestones early, and Elon invests in 7.5 years, and he's getting, $1 trillion in stock. Elon may be chipping in, $500 billion to paying off the national debt. I'm not sure what you mean. He still wants voting control before he takes us to the next level. So he gets voting control when he earns the shares. He doesn't get this actual stock. He gets voting control of the shares when he earns them, but he doesn't get the actual stock until he vests. That's one of the little I don't think I clipped that section from the proxy, but I found that little bit there. The robot is changing color on me, is he? Is the robot change? Oh, you're just saying he's changed color from before. Yeah, and Elon said this is version 2.5. This is not Optimus version 3. Okay. So I just said in order for Elon to get the full amount, Tesla has to 8.5x market cap, which would be 7.5x the share price after dilution. He's getting so many shares, and there's probably some other dilution going on, that if Tesla goes to 8.5 trillion, we don't 8.5x our stock. Our stock's 7.5x's because we're giving Elon a chunk of the money effectively. Now, there's some details here that I want to show you. I came up with my own little chart of milestones. Okay, so first you have the market cap milestones going to 8.5 trillion at the bottom, which after dilution is like a 7.5x for our stock. And then there's cumulative delivery of 20 million vehicles. There's 10 million active FSD subscriptions. There's delivery of 1 million AI bots, 1 million robotaxis in operation. But the other one that really matters more is the EBITDA, which is a representation of profit. Now, Tesla's EBITDA, not exactly gross profit, not exactly net income, whatever, but EBITDA somewhere in there, was $15 billion, let's say for 2024. If we go to 50 billion, it's a 3x. If we go to 80 billion, it's like a little bit more than 5x. If we go to $300 billion, it's a 20x. And a lot of the tranches are at $400 billion in EBITDA. That's a 27x. If the profit goes up 27x, do you really think the share price is only going to be up 7.5x or 8.5x? Do you think the market cap might be a little higher? So in order for Elon to really achieve these goals, he's got a 27x profit. If you 27x profit, the market cap isn't only going to 8x. If you 27x profit, the market cap's going to go up 15x, 20x. I don't know if it's necessarily going to go up 27x, but it might. So if it 20x's, well, that's where I got my number of how Elon might end up getting far more than $1 trillion out of this. So Mark Potocnik says, watch them cry about his pay. Yeah, I've already saw it on Bill Maher. Bill Maher was talking about it, and I think Stephen Moore was saying how great it is that Elon could become a trillionaire. And Bill Maher's like, well, how much is too much? Like, well, does he deserve to earn it or not? Like, as a shareholder, if you tell me, let's say Elon's going to 20x the value of my stock or 18x the value of my stock after dilution, and Elon gets $1 trillion or $2 trillion, good by me. I got an 18x. I got no complaints. And we'll talk more about why it's necessary to do that. But I just wanted to show you that, and you can just see the market cap milestones. He gets, a chunk at 2 trillion, 2.5 trillion, 3 trillion, all the way down to 8.5. It starts going up by 1 trillion after 6.5 trillion. And then each of these has to be matched with one of these other milestones. So if they reach 20 million vehicles delivered, and delivery includes, we'll show you this in a minute. I was puzzled about this. There's a couple things I was puzzled about here about how do you get 10 million active FSD subscriptions, all these details, but a big chunk of them are getting $400 billion in EBITDA. Okay, so let's go a little further. You notice we have a different Optimus here. Optimus has changed position. Having fun with Optimus. So I will vote for this package. And for the reasons we'll go through here. My biggest concerns, and I was a little wrong on this, and I wasn't completely wrong. The operational milestones require delivery of 20 million cars and 10 million active FSD customers. And to me, this creates a potential problem because maybe it's not in Tesla's interest as a shareholder to deliver more cars. If you're going to run them inside the company as a robotaxi fleet, I was concerned, well, wait a minute, I might not want Tesla to sell cars anymore. CERN corrected me on this point. I might not want there to be 10 million active FSD customers. How's that going to work? I think this may go against the business model where Tesla puts all or most of its vehicles in a robotaxi fleet. Similar issue with delivering 1 million bots. Maybe Tesla should just have the bots and lease them out and not deliver them. So, and I will point out that Tesla in the proxy made these specific points, that there are a variety of risks of approving the package, including the operational milestones are designed to reflect meaningful business accomplishments, but some thresholds, such as those linked to sales of a specific product, could theoretically be satisfied using strategies that emphasize volume over other factors that more meaningfully impact shareholder value. I think they tried to carefully choose the operational milestones in a way that will maximize shareholder value, but they could lead to a point where Elon says, well, in order for me to get this next tranche, we got to deliver 20 million cars, even if delivering 20 million cars is no longer in the interest of the shareholders. That's a problem that we would be concerned about. I don't think Elon is going to be motivated in that way, but that's a potential concern, is that when you set up your incentives, if the business model changes, then those incentives may no longer align with what shareholders want. So that's the issue I raised, and they raised it as well. But CERN corrected me at least partly. He said, vehicles delivered include when a Tesla vehicle is placed into commercial operation for the first time by the company as a robotaxi. So my concern, if they put it as a robotaxi, it's not a delivery. No, they're counting that as a delivery. So we're okay there. If Tesla ramps up and produces 8 million cybercabs and in 2 years has put 16 million cybercabs into the Tesla fleet, we're past 20 million because they're in the Tesla fleet that's placed into commercial operation for the first time in the company as a robotaxi. So that bit is covered. And CERN also addressed the FSD issue, um, that if FSD is paid for by any individual or entity other than the company, or any licensee authorized to sell subscriptions on behalf of the company, that counts as an FSD license. But if the company keeps the cars themselves and they never sell enough cars to get to 10 million active FSD subscriptions, that could be a potential problem. So then Tesla continues selling cars when it's not in the shareholder interest to sell cars. That's the concern. And I think at that point, Elon would simply come to the board and say, look, this incentive is no longer aligned with shareholder value. Let's drop this requirement for me to get my next tranche. And the board would probably agree. Maybe the shareholders would have to vote on it, but it seems likely that that's what would happen. Now, I want to stress something that, let me look at the chat before I go on with this. NVIDIA is already a $4 trillion company, could be 5 to 10 years. The realistic time frame to 8 trillion. So my view is that as Tesla starts ramping the robotaxi fleet, as they start producing cybercabs, which are lower cost, still generating high revenue, I think you're going to see 2032, maybe you're going to see 10 million vehicles in Tesla's robotaxi fleet, maybe quicker than that. And that 10 million vehicles, you're talking about $500 billion in gross profit. You're probably at the $400 billion $400 billion EBIT at that point, or close to it. So it's around 2032. It just depends on how quickly they're able to. And you could do 10 million robotaxis in the US alone, but you'd probably have the US and China going full bore. I don't know how many other countries you'd be doing, but even half the United States could satisfy the need for 10 million robotaxis charging $1 a mile, which gets you to that $500 billion in gross profit. I expect to see them in China as well. Shanghai Gigafactory will be producing cybercabs and Model Ys for the robotaxi network there. Some other countries maybe, but on the US and China alone, I think you have enough to get to that level. And I think that could be 2030 is looking a little optimistic at this point, but if you're producing 2 million cars a year now, and then you add 2 million cybercabs a year, it's not very hard to get to 10 million robotaxis. How can we eliminate the market cap and make it infinite? I'm not worried about making it infinite. That's kind of silly. Tesla plus X.AI is the product. Grok. I think people are overstating the role of XAI in Tesla's products. Grok is in some of the cars now. It's not in my car yet. But people are saying, oh, Grok is the brain of the car. No, FSD is the brain of the car. Grok is a little bit of an interface that will work with the car and work with you, and Grok will be in the Optimus bot. But the brains of Optimus and the brains of the car are the FSD chip and the real world AI. Grok is not real world AI. Grok is not real time. Like the AI in the cars is real time making decisions in milliseconds. Large language models or multimodal models, whatever you want to call them now, like Grok and ChatGPT, they don't make decisions in milliseconds. They take you 5 seconds to get back to you, 10 seconds to get back to you. Even if they speed up to a second, that's not milliseconds. So the brain running the car, the brain running Optimus is not Grok. It's not coming from XAI. People are missing that. No ethical difference between the earnings from the first car and the 20 millionth. Elon deserves it. No one has created more value. 100%. Tesla next gen cars only cost $10,000 to make. I think that the Cybercab will cost $20,000 to make, but we'll see. Are any non-Tesla manufacturing businesses asking to buy gigafactory setups? Not yet. Keep in mind, Tesla will need 5 to 6 more gigafactories globally to get 20 million. That's 20 million units a year. I believe that each Cybercab factory will produce 2 million. So, and I don't know that we're heading for 20 million units a year. I think we might, but you'd need 10 Cybercab factories to get to 20 million units a year. So I think we're probably talking about 4 Cybercab factories. Are we ever getting to 20 million produced a year? I don't know if we're getting there. Maybe in the long run. More robotaxis, less cars on the road. Yes and no, Mark. It's true that one robotaxi replaces 5 cars, but if you lower the price of transportation enough, people will take more rides, and you may end up having more robotaxis than you think. If Neuralink is real, then automobile transport perhaps reduces a lot. Maybe no. I think if you lower the cost of transportation, people will go more places. I don't think Neuralink is going to replace. I mean, unless you're in the Matrix. I think Neuralink is going to, anything you're going to want to go and see more. Um, XAI plus FSD data, not Grok. I don't think XAI plays a role in FSD data. I think you guys are getting that wrong. What's with the Tesla flying car I'm being told about? Is that clickbaity AI BS? I think Roadster will do some limited flying, but very limited. I don't know if flying is even the right word for it. So this is an important detail about why this compensation package is so important. And this is just 4 of the points. They have many points here about why it's important that this be approved because of the Tesla, that if you fail to approve the package, Elon might remain at Tesla but dedicate less time to leadership due to lack of proper incentives. Failure to retain or incentivize Mr. Musk may result in a lack of cohesive strategic alignment that decreases innovation, reduces investor confidence, and destroys shareholder value. The failure to retain and incentivize Mr. Musk may impact Tesla's ability to attract, integrate, and retain appropriate talent and compete in sectors requiring specialized or in demand knowledge. Failure to retain and incentivize Mr. Musk may result in stock price volatility and uncertainty. Like if Elon's gone, I'm selling. I don't, I think that the stock will collapse if Elon doesn't stay with the company. So shareholders really need to vote. If you don't vote for this, you are basically saying to Elon, we don't want you anymore. And unlike Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, Elon has other companies to go to put his time into if his time is not valued at Tesla. That's a really stark difference that I think people don't necessarily understand. um, Zaki says I need to vote for this like before. I voted for him like 2 years ago. So this is a new compensation package. We have the previous compensation package. We have the 2012 compensation package, which was resolved. We have the 2018 compensation package, which has been held up in court because of Delaware, which we think will ultimately be awarded. And I think we're voting for that again for the 2018 compensation package one more time. That might be proposal 3. And then proposal 4 is this. It's extremely short-sighted and annoying that people focus on potential earning amounts versus what value a person brings to the table and requirements needed to reach them. No other CEO takes this. Yeah, and again, the value of the package as we look at it today is from an outside perspective, not from the crazy Warren perspective or the hyperbole perspective. This is an $88 billion compensation package, but it pays nothing. We lose nothing from the compensation package if Tesla fails to achieve the goals. We only pay Elon if he achieves the goals we're trying to achieve. I'll be talking about AI 5 and AI 6 chips in a minute. Africa, India, and China have over 1 billion humans each. Many don't have access to transport. Major opportunity for robotaxi. I think that China has plenty of access to transport, but it's a huge opportunity for robotaxi. India and Africa, human drivers are so cheap, it's going to be a long time before it will make sense to send robotaxis to India and Africa because human drivers are so cheap. The margins you make in those places are same thing here in Thailand. The margins you make on robotaxi in places where human drivers are cheap is not that high. So you want to run your robotaxis in places where you have high margins first. I don't know when it's open to vote. I didn't process that point yet. Another thing to talk about is there is a vote to elect the directors. Re-elect the directors for the board. There's 3 directors up: Ira Ehrenpreis, Joe Gebbia, and Kathleen Wilson Thompson. Ira Ehrenpreis has been on the board since 2007. He is a venture capitalist, very prominent venture capitalist. His resume is like, wow. This guy's got a spectacular resume. This guy is a super dude. Knows Tesla as well as anyone. He's been on the board since 2007. I'm encouraging people. I'm voting for all of them, just to be clear. Joe Gebbia is the co-founder of Airbnb. I'm staying in an Airbnb right now. This is an Airbnb. But Airbnb is a really relevant business to the robotaxi world. If customers who own Teslas are putting the vehicles in the robotaxi fleet, just like people who own condos like this one put their condos into the Airbnb fleet. So I can't think of a better person to be on the board than Joe Gebbia. He's also involved as the chief design officer for the United States of America. Pretty cool. Is that the title? U.S. first chief design officer, now spearheads the new national design studio to work on presidential initiative called America by Design to modernize the digital interfaces that serve everyday citizens. I can't think of a guy who's better qualified than Joe Gebbia for that. And then Kathleen Wilson Thompson has been on the board since 2018, I think, or 2016. Done a good job on the board so far. I'm voting to reelect her as well. So that's a little detail that I wanted to cover just so we cover that point. And then the last thing I have a last set of things to talk about. Um, sorry. So just to pump Tom Nash, my friend Tom Nash, he says Tesla shares are heading into the weekend carrying three big stories. Elon's $1 trillion pay plan, the first Model Y in India, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and a public robotaxi app. Bears still count cars. Bulls count revolutions. People who are bearish on Tesla, people who don't see the future that we see, they're talking about, well, how many cars did they sell? It's not about how many cars they sell. It's about how many robo-taxis are they running, what kind of profit are they making on those, how many robots are they making, how are they making profits on those. So, and a little quick toss to our favorite Lost Gerbil. Lost Gerbil says basically if Elon says, notice I'm blocked by Lost Gerbil. Basically, if Elon succeeds with his goals, he will be paid the entire current value of Tesla. Yes, if Elon makes the company worth 8.5 trillion, then he will get 1.1 trillion or so before taxes, and I will be very happy as a shareholder. Has the Tesla board of directors heard of XAI, where Elon is developing AI that is not owned by Tesla? How this all ends up will be very interesting. Again, there's a really stark difference between the AI that XAI is developing, Grok, and related AIs that are not real world AIs that are not making millisecond decisions. They're making decisions in 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 17 seconds, a minute sometimes. FSD makes decisions in milliseconds. It has to decide fast, because if you don't make a decision fast, the car crashes. There's no car crash if Grok takes a little longer to answer a question. And Ross, of course, says, I don't think a pay package could be more ridiculous than Tesla's. Just when you thought there was no limit to the madness, you're right. Okay. So Lost Gerbil continues to be lost, and I've had a lot of fun with Lost Gerbil over the years, and that will continue. Another detail, Megapack is having a keynote address. One of the critical things to advancing AI, both for Tesla and for America, is getting more energy generation, and batteries can play a big role in that, because even without any new energy generation, at night most of the energy generation shuts down. You could keep it running, power up Megapacks, and then you would have twice as much energy available to be used, because data centers run at night. So I'm not sure exactly where we're going with this. Bradford Ferguson thinks we're going to see a mini mega pack or power pack that's smaller than a mega pack. A lot of cool stuff happening there. And then I mentioned India. The Minister of Transportation took delivery of the first Model Y in India. Now, my personal take has been that I do not think India will be a needle mover for Tesla. The market, Teslas are expensive in India. There's import fees and tariffs and whatever. So even at $30,000, which in theory Tesla comes up with a Model Y S or something and sells it in India, even at $30,000, that is well above the market in India. The number of I would be shocked if Tesla sold more than 50,000 cars a year in India at the price points that we're used to seeing. I would be shocked. Just the volume. Just number one, they're going to have two sales centers in a monstrously huge country. Number two, the vast majority of the population vast majority of the population doesn't buy cars. Of the vast majority of the population, of the small minority of the population that does buy cars, the vast minority buys cars at around $10,000. $30,000 is an outsized price for cars in India. I think you're going to see, and then the rich people want a driver. They might want a 3-row vehicle. There's a lot of Tesla doesn't make every category. So I'd be shocked if we sold more than 50,000 cars in India a year in, let's say, 2 years, and Tesla selling 2 million cars a year. So 50,000 cars is not moving the needle for Tesla. It's cool. It's generating data for FSD, but it's not that exciting. The cheapness in Africa and India will easily replace with reliable vehicles. Human drivers are notorious for bad driving and not caring about time. Human customers in Africa and India want cheap, cheap, cheap. Did you feel sorry when you sold some shares 2 years ago? Oh, this is one of those just dumbest things. This is one of those dumbest things. I don't even know if it was 2 years ago. So to be clear, facing a shareholder vote like the current one, which I'm not worried about this one, but at the time I was worried about the shareholder vote. I sold stock. After the vote I bought back, I lost 1% of my total shares. No, I didn't feel sorry. I made a risk decision. I didn't sell all my stock. I sold 20%. I bought back 19 of the 20. I had 99% of the stock after as I had before. There are people who tell, well, there's this popular story that Warren sold all his Tesla. Like, I probably had more Tesla stock after selling 20% than you've ever had and you'll ever dream of having, right? Because I'm all in and I'm a Teslaner. I still had $1 million in stock at the time, more than $1 million in stock at the time. Mark Plot says USA, Puerto Rico, Canada, Mexico, China, New Zealand, Australia, all not using FSD. More coming soon. Yep. Lost Kawasaki. No, it's what did I call him? Gerbil Kamikaze. Gerbil Kamikaze. It's Lost Gerbil of the firm of Gerbil Kamikaze, not Gerber Kawasaki. Just having fun with Lost Gerbil. One last detail here. Somebody mentioned the AI5 and AI6 chip. Elon mentioned that they just had a great design review with the Tesla AI5 chip design team. This is going to be an epic chip. And AI6 to follow has a shot at being the best AI chip by far. I think he's talking about for inference, not for training. Switching from doing 2-chip architecture to one means all our silicon talent is focused on making one incredible chip. No brainer in retrospect. Somebody made fun of Elon saying it's a no brainer because the chip is the brain of the car. Please join the Tesla Silicon team. Milliseconds matter, right? Grok doesn't work in milliseconds. FSD works in milliseconds. Ali Sherliff says best AI chip for cars, you mean? Elon said, I could be wrong, but I think AI5 will probably be the best inference chip of any kind for models below 250 billion parameters. Most of the major models, the ChatGPT 5s and or whatever version of ChatGPT we're on, the top models are using more than 250 billion parameters. By far the lowest cost silicon and best performance per watt. So performance per watt matters because if you have high performance with low energy consumption, you get a lot more out of your chip because the constraint isn't necessarily how much performance you have, it's how much energy you're using and how much energy do you have access to. And AI6 will take that much further. So AI6 will probably go to models above 250 billion parameters, but the cost of the chip and the performance per watt are what really matters a lot. And it's not necessarily the best for training compute, but it's the best for inference compute. And according to James Dowland, like 90-95% of AI compute is inference. So solving the inference compute problem is inference compute is when they train Grok to a new model, that's training compute. When Grok answers your question, that's inference. When they train the car how to drive and you get a new version of FSD in your car, that was training compute. When the car is driving and it's making decisions, that's all inference compute. And there's like 90% or more of AI compute is inference compute. So inference compute matters a lot more. Okay. Zaki says tech companies coming to India, so in a few years they will have money. Tech companies have been coming to India for a long time and they still don't have money. Austin Airport won't. It's a lot to change the Indian economy. Austin Airport won't allow robotaxi yet. Are you worried about jurisdiction needling Tesla? No, Texas will be friendly. Period. Florida will be friendly. Period. California so far has been friendly. I think we're going to see half the U.S. states in terms of population, if not more than half the states total, will embrace FSD quickly. Will embrace robotaxi quickly. I think by the end of next year, maybe middle of next year, we're going to see a very high volume of robotaxis operating, generating significant revenue and profit. And that's, when is the stock price really going to take off? I want to say by the end of this year, but I think there's a good chance it's sometime next year. Can the Megapack be used in space on the moon? You probably need to make some changes. So first of all, Megapack is very heavy. I think for space-based applications, you might choose nickel-based batteries. Although Starship is, maybe mass no longer matters that much when you're launching. So something like Megapack could be used in space. I'm not sure what the need is for Megapack in space yet. Maybe on Mars in order to handle the power generated by the solar panels. Not clear that we need round-the-clock energy generation, so we'll see. There may be a role for energy storage on Mars. I'm not sure. You wouldn't need Megapack in orbit because, first of all, satellites aren't that heavy. Second of all, you'd have solar panels in an orbit where they get the sunlight constantly, and then you don't have to worry about storing the energy. Expand the $15 per month nighttime EV charging. I don't know what that is. Unlimited free supercharging at night. I don't think you want to make anything free because that screws everything up. Space battery can be LFP as weight is not the issue. I'm not sure that weight is not that much of an issue. That's a tough one because it's weight and volume both. Nickel batteries are lower weight and lower volume, and that may matter. It may not matter. I don't know. Maybe cost is the issue. We'll see. But I think the cost of launching the payload into space, the nickel batteries probably win out on reducing mass to orbit. Current rollout seems rather slow. I wonder if that's because of the new comp package. It has nothing to do with that. Mark seems to indicate that manufacturing in space could get gigantic. I think we'll see a lot of things happening in space, but it's really hard to predict what's happening yet. It's like we didn't know what was going to happen on the internet when the internet came out, and all of a sudden, all kinds of crazy things happen on the internet that none of us saw. Hi, Rich. Somebody bragged how much power was delivered by a peaker in a minute. I told them milliseconds. Yeah, batteries. The megapacks respond much quicker than peaker plants to need, the grid's needs. Nighttime on Mars is going to matter. I don't think there's a spot on Mars where you get full solar, so there may be some role for lithium iron phosphate batteries or megapacks on Mars. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just not sure. I don't even know if do they fit. Does a megapack fit in a Starship nose cone? In a Starship, I don't know the diameter of megapack. I think it fits. 9 meter diameter should fit. But what's the mass of a megapack? I don't know how many tons that is. Hello, Globalist Mo Blackman. Thank you. If they use nuclear on Mars, they would need batteries. No, nuclear doesn't need batteries. It's the solar is going to need batteries. Yeah, are they able to manufacture batteries on Mars from in situ resources on Mars? There's probably lithium on Mars. There's probably nickel and iron and all the other things you need. I think the long term goal would be to manufacture lithium iron phosphate batteries on Mars rather than on Earth. Is Robotaxi in mass production? Well, Model Y is in mass production. Model Y is a Robotaxi. Model 3 is going to be a Robotaxi. That's in mass production. Cybercab is not in mass production yet. Cybercab is not in production yet. Rolls-Royce is planning reactors for the moon for what it's worth. Lots of people are planning lots of things, but when are they going to actually deliver them into a useful position? That's an open question. So, all right. So I want to go back to, first of all, I love my friend Optimus. I've got new Optimus toys to play with. Again, I just want to hit what's happening with RoboVan. We don't know about RoboVan or RoboVan. RoboVan is probably coming next year or the year after. We've got Roadster coming. There was a great video with Jay Leno, Franz, and Lars with the new Model S Plaid. I actually didn't think the video was that great, but it was pretty good. So again, the story is $1 trillion pay package. The reality is that the pay package right now is valued at 87.75 billion. The potential value of the package, if they hit all the tranches and the company market cap is 8.5 trillion, is $1 trillion pay package. But if Tesla goes to a $20 trillion market cap, the pay package may end up being worth close to $3 trillion before some taxes. So the value here is tremendous, but the value to us shareholders, if we get a 20x, we're not going to cry if Elon gets a big payout. Again, if Tesla's market cap goes to 20 trillion, then Elon's current stake in Tesla goes to $3 trillion. He gets another 2.7 trillion or so from the comp package, which total value is 5.7 trillion. He ends up with about $4 trillion in Tesla stock after some taxes. That's pretty good. Need a chip that can make the other car drive like a local driver. The car already drives better than a local driver. Be Nice says, I hope the Roadster gets released before I'm too old to look cool driving one. So Jay Leno asked Lars and Franz about Roadster, and they said, I think he's a little annoyed because I think maybe he paid for one. Maybe he put a deposit down and he wants his Roadster, but I think I think they said it's coming. He doesn't need the money, he wants control. That's a key point of this package, is he doesn't actually get the shares until 7.5 years from now. But as soon as he earns the shares, he gets voting control of the shares that he's earned. That's an important little detail. And I think this is another key detail. one of the targets is $400 billion in EBITDA, which is a form of profit. That's a 27x on the current levels of profit. If Tesla's profit 27x's, the share price is going to more than 8x. It's going to 10x. It's going to 15x. It might 20x. And 400 billion, maybe it goes to 500 billion, 600 billion, 700 billion. So I think that $400 billion EBITDA is sending a message that they think the stock price is going to go much, much higher, that the market cap is going to go much, much higher than 8.5 trillion. Um, I think there's a lot of potential here for a lot of gains. Okay, I think I covered everything I want to cover. 30x easily. Nothing's easy, Mark. Mark says 30x easily. Nothing's easy. There's a tremendous amount of work, tremendous amount of execution. You never know what curveballs the simulation is going to throw at us. Maybe there's a new virus. Maybe there's an asteroid going to hit the Earth. Who knows? There's all kinds of crazy stuff happens. But assuming that the world doesn't go even crazier than it has, and we don't have a global thermonuclear war, and again, Tesla executes well. If we see good execution, we have a real prospect of getting 10x, 20x, 30x, if not more. I think it's much higher than that, but we'll see. Robotaxi only needs front-wheel drive single motor. Yeah, I believe that's correct. Hardware for FSD currently works nearly perfectly in the US. It's the speeding human drivers that are the biggest hindrance for me. Yeah, my impression, and I haven't driven FSD in 2 years now, but my impression is that hardware 4 FSD is working great. Hardware 3 FSD is actually working very, very well. My daughter drives FSD. I have lots of hardware 3 FSD. I have a lot of friends who drive hardware 3 FSD. Hardware 3 is still working really well. Heaven Guy, thank you for the comment on the thumbnail. Sometimes the ideas just hit me. Hopefully it worked. I don't think we got that many people watching, so it hasn't worked as well as I hoped. But, the short story is very optimistic for the future of Tesla. The compensation package indicates, I really think this is the big thing. I think this is the thing that everyone is missing, is the fact that they're talking about a $400 billion EBITDA. That shows that Elon is optimistic about a much, much higher market cap than 8.5 trillion. You don't get to $400 billion EBITDA and then only have an $8.5 trillion market cap. It's going to be much higher. Matt Burns says significance of safety driver removed end of year. Look, there's a lot of things that have to happen. Everything we're seeing, FSD is improving rapidly. Robotaxi is working well. Next level improvement means Robotaxi works even better. I think Elon said that once the safety driver's out, the safety driver's out of Waymo, and Waymo still sucks. No offense to Waymo. Not that Waymo sucks, but Waymo is not a business model that's going to succeed. I think it makes it easier to expand the Robotaxi network faster if you don't have to have someone in the car. I don't think soon, like next week. I think we're going to see the safety monitor out before the end of the year, which is 2-3 months. Let's get some taxi money going. Yeah, lots of good things happening. Okay, so it's near my bedtime. I would like to go longer. Nobody's talking about semi deliveries and FSD sales. FSD for semi is at least 2 years away. They have to get volume production to get enough semis to train FSD on semi. So you're not going to have 50,000 semis on the road until sometime in 2027. You probably need more than that to generate meaningful data to train semi for FSD. So you're not really looking at FSD and semi doing anything meaningful until 2028 or 2029. In my opinion, other people think I'm being conservative there. Okay. So I'm going to go to bed. A lot happening for us here. I'm in Bangkok right now instead of Krabi, Thailand. Lots of great things happening here. We're having fun. And we will be back in Krabi hopefully in a week or so, back to everything being normal. She is fluffing Warren's pillow. Who's fluffing Warren's pillow? I missed that. Math is challenging for most people. They have no idea what's coming their way with Optimus. Good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again, Mark and Mark, for moderating the chat. Best wishes, everybody. Bye-bye.